Hello, Paulo Leite here, record collector, and this is part 3 of my visit to Roadrunner Records in Minneapolis, Minnesota. On the previous video, we explored their used rock vinyl collection. On this video, we'll explore Roadrunner's collection of soul, funk, disco, jazz on vinyl, CDs, and more. Disco, blues, and soul are located right here. Cut the Cake, 1975 by Average White Band. I love them. Just Jesse Belvin, 1959. He had an incredible voice. He was a member of several groups during the 50s before going solo. He only released 4 albums until he got killed in a suspicious car crash in 1960. A horrible event that destroyed one of the most beautiful voices ever. Really sad. Oh my god, The Chandler Situation, 1970, by Gene Chandler. I love this album. Beautifully produced, big production in the transition from soul to early disco. At this time, Gene Chandler sounded a lot like Philadelphia sound, before there was a Philadelphia Records that would be founded in 1971. And this, to me, is evidence of the sheer brilliance of the many artists and producers whose reference was the big band era of the 40s. Gene Chandler was born in 1937, and he's still with us. Mr. Chandler, this video is dedicated to you, sir. Oh, Strutting, 1980, by Dr. Strut. This was a jazz fusion band from Motown. These albums are my suggestions for great music you should rediscover. Now, this album has always puzzled me. The Versatile Impressions, 1969, by The Impressions. You are supposed to put this cover on an angle so you will see the image. But I have tried it many times and it never seems to work. Curtis Mayfield sings here. Nope, I cannot make it work. Beautiful album, but I give up. Twist and Shout, 1962, the Isley Brothers' second album. Soul Ain't No New Thing, by Booby Night and the Soul Society. Their only album, sadly forgotten, but it's beautiful. Why is this not on CD? Please, someone tell me. I am a huge fan of Little Anthony and the Imperials. This compilation contains one of my favorites, Hurt So Bad. $4. Are you enjoying this video? Please give it a like and subscribe. There is more great content coming soon. Thank you. Reaching for the World, 1977, by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Their first album after Teddy Pendergrass left. Not the same, but still beautiful sound. The First Minute of a New Day, 1975, by Midnight Band. This is so good. Gil Scott-Heron and Brian Jackson were a match made in heaven. Climax, 1974, by the Ohio Players. Now this is a gorgeous gatefold release. Everything is beautiful here. The inside, the label itself, and the full cover. This was truly a great piece of design. The credit is right here, photography by Joel Brodsky. This should be on a wall. I'm in Love, 1968, by Wilson Pickett. Beautiful version of Sam Cooke's Bring It On Home to Me. Reflections, 1960, by The Platters. Gorgeous album with several classic songs, including Ebb Tide. Life is Just a Bowl of Cherries, 1961, by The Platters. Beautiful orchestra with beautiful harmonies. Lullaby of the Leaves is a classic. Most people don't know that these artists were incredibly prolific, releasing more than an album per year. The Platters, for example, released 4 albums in 1960 alone. No artist today can do this. Think about it. Taylor Swift releases the same album with 10 different covers, and that's it. Unmistakably Lou, 1977, by Lou Rawls. This is one of his best albums from the Philadelphia Records period. It contains the classic See You When I Get There, Gamble and Huff at their peak. Stay in Love, 1976, by Minnie Riperton, one of the most beautiful voices from the 70s. She was irreplaceable. Aladdin, 1968, by Rotary Connection. Minnie Riperton sang here before going solo. Also, Dinner Music, 1970. Back by Demand, The Soulful Strings in Concert, 1969 by The Soulful Strings. I love them. They were very jazzy with some gorgeous arrangements and some stunning musicians from Cassettes Records. I think this album was never released on CD, and I hope someone will tell me I'm mistaken. I'm having so much fun here. Barry White sings For Someone You Love, 1977. I don't know why Barry's albums are so hard to find on CD. I have several, but it took me ages to get the ones I love. The compilations are not good because Barry was one of those artists whose songs were huge in every sense. What we find on compilations are the singles that are shorter and very much less interesting. Four Tops Now, 1969 by the Four Tops, one of my favorite albums. Get this album, you'll thank me later. By the way, the CD version of this is absurdly rare and expensive. But Christmas is coming, and feel free to send it to me. Whenever I'm browsing through the Jacksons' albums, I constantly see Jermaine's albums, and I realize how frustrating his career must have been. During the time of the Jackson 5, he was known as the cute one. And he was indeed the cutest of them all, probably the one destined to a successful solo career at some point. He even married the daughter of Motown's boss, Berry Gordy Jr. However, Michael Jackson's talent and brilliance were like a freight train, smashing any other family member. He had the voice and the talent, but not Jermaine's looks. And that must have been a heavy load on Michael because, although he was the real talent of the band, the cute one was Jermaine. I think Michael struggled through his early career precisely because he knew the importance of having the look, something he was always told he didn't have. And that brings us to the irony. Jermaine had the looks, but not Michael's brilliance. He had an okay career. Michael had stratospheric brilliance, and as he became a superstar, he always remained unsure about his looks. Oh, French music? Mais of course. I am a big fan of Charles Aznavour. It's so good to find him here. Let's look at some blues. Carolina Bluesman, 1961 by Pink Anderson. By the way, that's where the pink part from Pink Floyd comes from. Make My Home Where I Hang My Hat, 1982 by Johnny Copeland. Beautiful cover with the World Trade Center in the background. Although this is his second album, he had a long career before that as a blues musician, and this album shows it with a strong horn section that sounds awesome. Solo, 1976 by John Hammond. This is one of those rare live albums that sound as good as a studio one. He was born in 1942 and he's still with us. Mr. Hammond, this video is dedicated to you. Amtrak Blues, 1980 by Alberta Hunter. From time to time, I find this album and I have to single it out because she was amazing. She was born in 1895 and started recording in the 20s. She sang through the entire big band era. She stopped in the 50s to become a nurse, but in the late 70s, she decided to sing again. What a voice, what a great woman. Broken Hungry, 1969 by Guitar Jr., his first and only album. This was the pseudonym of Lee Baker Jr., but when he realized that Luther Johnson was already using that name, he changed it to Lonnie Brooks. The jazz section occupies this area here. And we strike gold. Selected Classical Works for Guitar and Flute, 1982 by Laurindo Almeida and Bud Shank. Simply one of the best jazz interpretations of classical music ever made. Eon, 1974 by Richard Bayrach, his first album and his first for ECM. Gorgeous. The 86 Years of Eubie Blake, 1973 by Eubie Blake, who was born in 1887. That was only 10 years after Edison invented the phonograph. This man practically played through the entire history of recorded media. His first composition dates from 1899, and this album was selected by the Library of Congress to be included in the National Recording Registry. How about that? Ralph Barnes Quartet salutes Rodgers and Hart, 1975. This is a great selection of Rodgers and Hart songs. This album is the definition of cool jazz. Late Lament, 1987 by Paul Desmond. This is a reissue of the classic Desmond Blue from 1962, with some changes to the track order. Tangents, 1984 by Chico Freeman, featuring Bobby McFerrin. This is a very underrated album. There are several beautiful tracks here. Wow, Werewolf, 1970 by The Fourth Way. This was their third and last album. It was recorded live in Montreux. Aquariana, 1969 by the Burton Green Ensemble. Despite having a huge discography, this was the only album Burton Green released as an ensemble. Same thing with the Victor Feldman All-Stars, played the world's first album of Soviet jazz themes, 1963. This was the second and last album they released. However, Victor Feldman had a long discography. Al Hirt went a bit further. He managed to release 3 albums as Al Hirt and his band. This one from 1961 was their second. But of course, Al Hirt had a long discography. Nothing But the Blues, 1959 by Earl Grant. He was 39 years old when he died in 1970. However, he recorded dozens of albums, and his voice was gorgeous. Here's an artist that deserves to be rediscovered. Music for Tired Lovers, 1955 by Woody Herman and Errol Gardner. Most people know Woody Herman as a clarinetist, but on this album, he sings. And here's a great collection of Stan Getz albums. You know, I wish I could play these albums for you guys, but I can't, sadly, because YouTube copyright gods will kill me if I do that. Jonah Jones at the Embers, 1956 by the Jonah Jones Quartet. Their first album as a quartet. This cover is the 1959 reissue. Beautiful album. Gula Matari, 1970 by Quincy Jones. While the inside only has credits and liner notes, the outside gatefold is gorgeous. Also, Smackwater Jack, 1971 and Mellow Madness, 1975. Blues with a Touch of Elegance, 1964 by Onzi Matthews. He was a brilliant arranger. In fact, he only released 2 albums that are very underrated. He worked with Duke Ellington, Ray Charles, and many others. Oh, Peter Matz Brings Them Back, 1967 by Peter Matz, another great arranger, and this album contains a very unusual and gorgeous bossa nova version of String of Pearls. These albums are my suggestions for great music you should rediscover. Oh, you are enjoying this video? please give it a like and subscribe. There is more great content coming soon. Thank you. Country music. A great Chet Atkins collection. New arrivals. Soundshake, 1968 by Peggy Scott and JoJo Benson. They only released a few albums, but they were really good. Cloud 9, 1969 by The Temptations. Also, All Directions, 1972, and 1990 from 1973. Got My Own Bag of Tricks, 1972. This is a compilation by Bo Diddley. Roadrunner Records has a small but well-curated collection of 45s. Their used CD collection is small, but I found some great titles here. Little Do Scoop, 1963 by the Beach Boys. Baby It's You, 1995 by the Beatles. Now, this is interesting. The Blues Brothers, recorded in 1973, but released in 1989 by the Brewers Droop, a British band. They did not last long, but ended up becoming kind of famous because Mark Knopfler and Pick Withers from Dire Straits and Dave Edmunds, a record producer, played with them at some point. They were a pub rock band, and their sound is unpolished, but I listened to this years ago and I enjoyed it. Deep Purple, 1969, their third album. And as you can see, most CDs here go for $3.75, which I think is a bargain if you find the right album. A Nod is as good as a wink to a blind horse, 1971 by Faces. 555, 2006 by Charlotte Gainsbourg. And Here Is Her Father, but this is a tribute album released in the same year. Are You Experienced? 1967 by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. This version contains several bonus tracks. Glass Houses, 1980 by Billy Joel, a great album. Coda, 1982 by Led Zeppelin, for just $3.75? Cracker Jack, released in 2009 by Janice Martin. She was considered the female Elvis. This at a time when Doris Day was leading the charts. And here's Elvis. This was a compilation released in 1959. Strange Cargo 2, 1990 by William Orbit. Sound of Water 2000 by Saint Etienne, great album. For years, for some reason, I thought they were French. The Incomplete Glenn Tilbrook, 2001. I think he is so underrated. Wow, Odds and Sods, 1974 by The Who. I haven't seen this one in a long time. This is a compilation made from unreleased studio outtakes, which makes it very interesting. In fact, this album is lots of fun. Who Serious? Symphonic Music of The Who, 1998 by the London Philharmonic Orchestra. I think it's always interesting to hear a real orchestra's take on a band like The Who. This album does not disappoint. The Wailing Wailers at Studio One, 1994, is a good compilation of their earliest material. And that's good because those records can be hard to find. The Harder They Come, 1972, the original soundtrack from the movie. Rivers of Babylon is a classic. Here's some country. And some jazz. It's a small collection, but it contains great albums. Classic Merry Christmas, 1945 by Bing Crosby. This is a compilation and probably one of those albums that became a bestseller no matter the format. Blues and Soul. When I'm Alone, I Cry, 1964 by Marvin Gaye. Beautiful album from when he was singing jazz before he became a soul legend. Gorgeous production, another album you don't find every day. Cooking with the Miracles, 1961 by The Miracles, their first album. Smokey Robinson started here. Playboy, 1962 by the Marvelettes, another gem. Once Upon a Time, 1977 by Donna Summer, disco at its best. The One Who Really Loves You, 1962 by Mary Wells. Yesterday's Love Songs, Today's Blues, 1963 by Nancy Wilson. She had such a perfect voice, and this is one of her best albums. Roadrunner Records also has a nice cassette collection. Here's a nice section of local artists. Another Perfect Afternoon, 2018 by Sawyer's Dream. I like this album, it sounds like the 90s to me. There's also a small section of new CDs with some great titles. Movie soundtracks are up there. Music DVDs too. I had a great time at Roadrunner Records. This is a small record shop with a great collection that deserves your attention. The prices are good, the used records are in great shape, and the speakers inside the shop deliver great sound. You should pay them a visit. I want to thank Charles for playing so many great albums while I was there, and John and Sarah, the owners, for letting me make this video. You guys are awesome. And you should be here with me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. There's more great content coming soon. Thank you.